Welcome, everyone, to Salon number 77. The gift of future motherhood is collective with Heidi Howes and Lisa Woodward of Motherful in the Maternal Gift Economy Breaking Through series hosted by Genevieve Vaughn and the International Feminists for a Gift Economy. Heidi Howes and Lisa Woodward are co-founders and co-directors of Motherful, a collective of 600 plus single mothers by single mothers in Central Ohio, whose mission is to support, empower, and nurture single mother families through education, community, resources, arts, and wellness, focused on economic, reproductive, food, climate, and maternal justice with single mothers. Heidi Howes is a single mother of 2 children for nearly a decade. Heidi is a healing artist, musician, writer, and community organizer whose passion is to create, support, and healing for mothers, communities, and the world. Lisa Woodward was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, and studied modern dance. She is a single mother of 3 ladies and is a true jack of all trades. After relocating from New York City in 1990, to New York City in 1991, she studied fashion design and started work as a personal assistant in the music industry. Lisa is a vegetarian and loves garage sales. Me too. All right. So let's get started. We are so excited to have these 2 women here for the second time. And in particular, we are very excited because at the core of their work, and I hope they let us know how they stumbled onto it, are the values and the theories that they've put into practice in their organization of Heidi Gutner-Abendroth, a Modern Matriarchal Studies, and Genevieve Vaughn's The Maternal Gift Economy. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa and Heidi. And please, you have about an hour to present and let us know what you're doing, or you can stop at any time and we can take questions, but we'll definitely take questions. So please welcome Lisa and Heidi.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much for having us again. We're so excited to be here. I'm feeling a little bit off, so I might need to lay down for a second and put my feet up, but I'm going to let Lisa start. I will be back. We wanted to kind of just share, first of all, a little bit more background of how we came to begin Motherful. Hi, Nisha. And sort of like from her perspective. So Lisa, do you want to start that off and I'll be right back?
Yeah. Hi everybody. Just to reiterate, if you were on the last salon, about how we started. I am a single mom of 3. I was a teen mom at 17. And I was able to navigate being a single mom and find the resources that I needed. Um, and um, it was around 2014 when I met Heidi, and we started to talk about our single mom journeys and all the things that we have gone through, and we decided to create a spreadsheet to make it easier for single moms to find resources. And out of that spreadsheet, we couldn't find any single mom resources to add to it. So I said, well, I guess we are the resource. We're going to start it up. So we started to have community dinners at different spots around the city to incorporate moms from everywhere, to get them together to we would eat together, we would commune together, have community. We would always have some sort of wellness aspect to our meetings, and we would do this once a month, and that generated more and more moms coming together, and that's how Mothers in Arms was born. Our first name was Mothers in Arms from the beginning. We're now DBA Motherful. We were getting at the fact that moms are octopus and mothers in arms, but then it turned to be about guns, but it wasn't. So we shifted over to Motherful, and that's a great name. That's super nice and cool. If you check out our logo has a boob in it, which we love. We studied very hard to get that there. And let's talk about what Motherful, who we are. Motherful is a Black, Indigenous, mothers of color led, multiracial grassroots collective of single moms. To be a single mom in our group, you get to be willing to be in a collective and cooperate collectively live, collectively work together, and agree to that. And that's what it takes to be in our Motherful collective. Right now we have about 600 moms in our collective, which is super cool. They are all over the city, and we are constantly adding moms in. We have an app that everybody communicates to keep everybody on the same page, which is where we share all of our resources and things that are important, and moms communicate. We swap furniture. We find out about our programming. We sign up to volunteer. Everything happens in the app. And we connect families through community, education, resources, art, and wellness. And our collective is non-hierarchical, and we are a matriarchal organization focused on reproductive and gender justice, racial justice, climate justice, maternal justice, and all of the above that intersect in those areas. So that's a little bit about how we started, and where we're at. I'd like to just go over what we do for our moms. If you can, please follow us on Instagram. That's where you're gonna always see what we're doing, what we're posting, new things. That's awesome. I'm gonna go down some programming that we have set up for 2025, which we're already into. A lot of great things. So we have an open house every week on Sundays, where our moms are welcome to come, and also any mom that's not a member can come and get food and take use of the different resources that are there. Things that we have available for our moms are a free lawyer, also getting hooked up with different services, healthcare services, and whatnot, along with getting food from Trader Joe's. If you guys know Trader Joe's, we love Trader Joe's. We get food from them every single day. And that food is actually doubling. We've been a partner for what, 5 years now? 4 years, 4.5 years. And so we're trusted, and the food keeps coming. And we're happy about that because we actually have a long waiting list right now. So we're expanding. We share space now with the youth center. We had one of our community dinners there once, and made friends. And so we share space there. Yeah. Hey, Heidi, you feeling better?
Yeah, sorry about that. Puts you on the spot. I have heart palpitations, and sometimes when I get excited, they just like do the little flip over, and then I feel like I'm going to pass out. So I had to put my legs against the wall for a second. So thank you for your
Oh my
patience.
God.
And you did awesome, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm like this person. I make good added comments, but I can tell you everything we do. I'd be out there. Trust me. I was gonna talk about the programming plan, but why don't you, what do we need to
No, I
do?
think that's great. I think it's great to go through what we do, who we are,
Yeah,
what we do, who we serve, and to just give the whole rundown. You're going to get the organizational blueprint. So
yeah,
understand we're organizing with single moms, and because we believe the future of motherhood is collective, that motherhood is meant to be collective, really. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
so you were
yeah.
sharing about how we're expanding our food pantry. So we find that food for single moms, food security for single moms is definitely an issue, and for single mother families here in Columbus, Ohio. So when we started our food pantry in 2020, during the George Floyd uprisings and during the pandemic, we wanted the food to be high quality as we could find, and primarily produce and meats and fresh dairy, because a lot of food pantries that you go to have mainly shelf stable items, and we know that it requires good, healthy food for children's brains to develop, for people to be healthy. So Lisa actually was the spearhead of the food pantry. She had that idea to go to Trader Joe's and to partner with them in their community shares program, which I know they have in every city. Every Trader Joe's is participating, as far as I know. So we are blessed with an independent food source in that sense. We're not
Hmm.
connected to like the larger food banks here in Ohio, which actually was to our benefit because of speaking out about Gaza, speaking about what was happening, the genocide. We actually had a lot of our partners um, pull away from us during you know these times. So we're really grateful that we have a partnership with a farm that's an organic farm, which is another 501c3. We have many donors from farms and gardens, and we provide, 3 times a week, we're open with fresh produce and organic eggs, meat. We're very, very blessed. And I think one of the things
And
that
we
our
need to, and we get to help other people too, with this food. Like we got so much meat and salmon this morning. We were able to help 2 pantries already today, extra,
Mm,
and be stocked for Sunday. So it's like an awesome thing to flow food around.
yeah, we kind of what the experience that we have with our pantry and our garden and the collaborations that we've created around us is so magical, because it really shows us it really shows us the maternal gift, like the abundance of our community, the abundance of our networks, right? Like there are so many times on during pantry serves, even from the beginning, when we didn't have that as much food as we have now. Right now we have about, I think last year we gave away about $350,000 worth of food. And every time we have a pantry, like I'm kind of like, well, there's a lot of moms that have come, there's a lot of families here, like I hope we have enough. And there's always, always, always enough. And I am always, my mystical mind is always really inspired by that. Not only the kind of, I go to like the loaves and the fishes allegory, but also I think about Jen's philosophy of and theory of the maternal gift economy. And with Motherful, we get to really live that out with all the resources that we're able to attract and receive and redistribute to the single moms in our collective. So it's really like, I think that in Motherful, one thing I want to say is that whenever we gather together, or whenever we are together, we feel the matriarchal pull. We feel the power of the matriarchy and the power of mothers being together, right? And so it's a really beautiful thing that is embodied in our food pantry, you know the abundance of the mother. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a pillar kind of what we do, and it's where moms come together over food. And we also just started a new apothecary. So we have our own apothecary now that we purchased from, hi Adrian, thank you. we purchased an apothecary from one of our moms, who was also a single mom, and she is an herbalist and had a business that she was moving out of. The business Generous Earth Botanicals is what it was called. And we had always had a dream to have an apothecary, where moms could have, find the medicine for the people, medicine for the families, and be their own kind of um, support for their children and themselves with herbal medicine. So we just had a learning about the apothecary last week, and we're going to be opening it to our moms within this year, and they'll be able to like pour their own medicines. Like say some elderberry syrup is what we worked on in the class. I believe elderberry glycerite
Extract.
extract. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have herbs, dozens and dozens of herbs, and dozens of tinctures already prepared for this year. So,
Yeah.
and
Also, we have a community garden out front with 15 raised beds that are going to work with the apothecary, just keeping herbs growing and getting dried, and because we're going to start making tinctures, and we have the dropper bottles for moms to grab and go. So
Mhm.
that's pretty cool how that's going to connect together, because our current garden is ran by a group of garden specialists in the city. So we're lucky to have that. And our garden is a certified community garden here, which is super cool. And we also do composting. We do about 40 thousand pounds it's of compost a year, which is amazing. And we donate that to the to a compost career program at a facility about an hour away. So that's cool. We're sustainable, keeping it flowing.
Yes, we love our
Yeah.
food program. The other piece of the food security program is our social enterprise called Plentiful, which is we piloted last summer, and we fed about, what was it, 420 meals
Yeah.
to single moms and their
Single serving.
families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Plentiful, the idea for Plentiful came because we know that even though we have fresh produce and groceries for cooking in our pantry, a lot of moms are still working 2 and 3 jobs and don't have time to cook. Who's going to cook the wonderful food? So we knew that we needed a solution for single moms in prepared foods, right? Healthy prepared foods. So Plentiful was born, and we actually partnered with another nonprofit in town who they specialize in a workforce development program that is food service based. And so what we were able to do is they helped us to, create the menus and to create the meals. And then we delivered them to our pantry and got the feedback from our moms who loved it. So I think it was every Thursday they could sit down with their families and have a meal, and many of the moms told us that that was the one night a week that they could sit down with their kids and have food together, not be sitting in front of the TV or this person's eating here, this person's eating here. So that was really special to hear, because embedded in everything we do, of course, is this sense of community, sense of being together. And so Plentiful not only supports Motherful by the buy one, give one model. So like if we're going to be launching to the public this year, probably after the summer. And when we do that, the public can like either subscribe to a weekly meal. So we're thinking Sunday meal is what we're going to be working on first. And so it'll be 4 servings of this meal. So it's a family meal, and the family can purchase a meal every Sunday. And every time they purchase a meal, then a meal will also go to a motherful mom and her family. So we're always working to keep the abundance going, right? And
Yeah.
flowing back into motherful as well, which is why the social enterprise model really works for us. And we can also employ single moms inside of those businesses. And we hope to, and we plan to start to build worker worker-owned cooperatives with moms, so that they can learn how to run businesses, they can follow their passions into building businesses, but they don't have to do it alone, because doing it alone is hard. And they do
Yeah.
parenting alone. So the food program, along with our community dinners, which is when we come together, we have an annual picnic where we also discuss climate justice. So all the food program is really a way for us to come together around food and also make sure we're fed and make sure we are nourished together. So
Yeah. And our vision is to create a motherful world in all of this, where mothers and children are valued, nurtured, supported, and cared for, and where single mothers never again feel alone, abandoned, cast aside, stigmatized, marginalized, systematically or personally. We seek to build a safe, intentional community where single mothers joyfully and peacefully work together, uplift each other, and share an abundance of resources in a collaborative, equitable collective. That's our vision.
Beautiful.
we have some moms in the chat. That's so sweet. Heather said, there are many times I would not have made it without this collective. Yeah, we really, we just really know how much single moms need. And the campaign we're about to launch, actually, if anyone is interested in donating to Motherful's efforts, the campaign, we just decided it's give more. Give more to moms, to encourage people to give more, and give more to single moms. And sometimes I've heard people ask on podcasts, people have asked, why single moms? Why single moms? And why not all moms, right? And I just want to kind of speak to that for a second, because that may come up, right? Like if a mom is married, she may be thinking, oh man, I really need this. Like, why can't I have this? Why can't I be a part of it? And I think when Lisa and I came together, we were kind of acknowledging just the challenges of being a single mom and how it's so specific and there's so little compassion and empathy for the realities of single moms, right? Especially for Black single moms who are so stigmatized, in the US especially, and Indigenous single moms so stigmatized. And so we decided to keep the collective just purely single moms. And we have a lot of supporters who are part of our village, a lot of married moms who come and are with us and donate. And I think that if we think about, I just want to speak to this, because if we think about who actually elected this president, right? Who are the highest voters? I believe it was the same as last time, that white women were the highest to vote for this administration, right? So the majority of white women or white mothers would be married. And marriage as a political position for a woman, right, for a mother, many women in marriage vote the way their husbands vote. And also after the inauguration, I did hear that divorces are up. So let's go, ladies. But the political position of the single mother, right, is so specific and so powerful. Such a powerful, such a powerful person is a single mom. So we don't come at this work from the weakness of the single mother. No, we come at this work from knowing the power that single moms hold and knowing that their political position is actually quite unique and special. So organizing with single moms, we have so many opportunities for liberation, for collective liberation, right? And so just kind of to speak to that, just how powerful the single mother is and how stigmatized she is and how she needs a place to be where she's understood and where there's empathy and compassion and where people have been in her shoes, because it is really, truly, we call it the ritual abandonment of single mothers. Talk about it's where you really see very clearly the pain of the loss of the village. And yet no one cares. No one cares. And so we said, if no one cares, well, then we're going to care for each other. So, yeah, it's just my little spiel about why single mothers. And it's also our vision to have this blueprint that we can give to moms around the world and say, hey, we want to support you in building a chapter of Motherful. Maybe your chapter of Motherful is married moms. Maybe your chapter of Motherful is just artist moms. You know, we're excited to see how this piece of the matriarchal movement gets to spread its wings around the world, you know. And we're already starting with something in Rwanda, which we can talk about a little bit later. But our food security program is really, really important to us for so many reasons, because moms can also take the money, a lot of money that would be spent on food, and they can put that towards something else that's needed. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and other resources and support that we do have. We have a loan program for our moms. Some moms need to borrow money really fast, and they know they can repay it back. So we have a agreement and a process where there's no interest, and we just keep circulating that money as needed. Predatory lending is really bad. Those shops where you can get money fast and you get interest at the wazoo. It's just not supportive, and this program is working well. We also work with a funder here that has a grant that we can submit weekly for up to $3,000. And so once a week, we help a mom in an emergency to get resources that she needs, whether it's paying rent, maybe it's getting a washer and dryer, utility payments, medicine, all the things like that. We do that as well. We also have a partnership with Community Financial Wellness, which is it's a program where our moms can do a workshop online for a few hours, and then you save 500, and then they give you 500. So we're constantly partnering up and finding new programs. We have transportation partnerships with our CODA bus system here. For moms that don't drive. We have a lot of moms that don't drive and don't have childcare, and those are two deficits that we work to resource like a lot every single time. And when we have events, we offer childcare, so our moms can participate. Yeah, and talking again about like our organization chart, how we're non-hierarchical, we have what we call a matriarchs council, which is something we started last year. And we had a year cohort of about, how many did we start with? About 11 moms that we did monthly sessions where we would hone in on a certain topic, and just kind of moms that want to be double leaders inside of our collective, leading and delegating, just to make everything work smoother. So that's really cool. This year we have we didn't open it up to new matriarchs this year. It's the ones from last year that want to continue on. So we have six or seven that are continuing on. And so this year we're going to be giving them more responsibilities. And we did get a grant, so we're able to give them a stipend too. Also, going back to the pantry, everybody that volunteers inside of the pantry is given a $25 stipend every time you work. We always say thank you. Here's gas. You know, it's not a lot, but it's an incentive. That's how we work here. You volunteer, you get that payment, and that's worked well. It's worked well in our system now. But the matriarchs, we did get a grant so they can do more. We're going to put them in charge of creating the Mom's Night Outs calendar and being in charge of being at our open house and pantry to lead and meet new moms and take them on tours. and get them signed in and just be that face, and supporting with all of our events deeper. We also look to them for advice when we're talking to our board about certain topics. We run it by the board, run it by the Matriarchs Council. It's that group of moms that are working together with all the magic. They're also going to be in charge of our birthday party in December. We're going to be 7. So those are the things that they're going to do to support us more in that job. Heidi.
Yeah. So where are we at in the programming plan right now? You have it up. I'll share more about that.
Oh, yeah. I thought you might have something to say about Matriarchs Council.
Oh, well, first of all, I want to add that through our community financial wellness program, which is a savings match program, and our gifts of kindness program, that was the emergency fund. In the last year, we gave over $110,000 cash directly to moms, just straight from those two funds.
Yes.
And really, the model is kind of like a redistribution, right? So we partner with these funders, and then we just give direct cash to moms as they need it. And 60 to 70% of the moms say their highest need is cash. And
Cash.
so their highest need is cash. So with that, I want to share about our amazing Ohio Mothers Trust. I know y'all are like, wow, I can't take all this in because we do a lot. And that's
We could keep going and
the mom,
going.
all the programs, but the Ohio
Yeah.
Mothers Trust is exciting. And I know it was part of the description of what we're talking about here today. So I want to sort of set it up with when I was single, I'm no longer a single mom. I have a new child. He's 3 years old, toddler. So, and I'm remarried to an amazing, amazing man, and super different experience, but I still feel very much solidified in the single mother experience, right? Because of how difficult it is, how for poor and working class moms especially. I think it's difficult for every mom, but when you really don't have the resources that you need to provide for your children in especially in a country where there's so much, it's just the injustice, the suffering are pretty intense. They were for me. It was the hardest period of my life. And I was scrappy and I found resources, but there was a time, because my children had different needs and I have different needs, I decided to be self-employed as a single mom so that I could be there for my kids to pick them up. I could be home with them when they were sick. And that meant missing a lot more work, and not having stable income, right? As a self-employed person with my own business. And so towards the end of my decade of single motherhood, my mom was actually working closely with me on my books for my business. She was helping me do my books, learning bookkeeping. And she had started at that point she had my access to my bank account. And so at that point, she had started to kind of slip a little bit of money into my account, like at the end of the month when she could see that I wasn't going to make rent. And it was just this, I don't know, it was just her little secret, I guess. She just started to do it. And I started to say thank you. And, I don't expect that, but she would kind of just check in on me and like slide me a little bit of money into my account so that I could breathe, and it was always just this like, oh, thank God, because one way or another, I just was always like behind, or as they say, robbing Peter to pay Paul, or as my friend Paisha Thomas says, like it's the chicken or the rent, right? I can't afford the chicken this month, so because I got to pay the rent. So from that came the dream, when I heard about guaranteed income programs like the Magnolia Mothers Trust, and other ones, that became the dream for us to have a guaranteed income program for our collective. And last year it came true. Our dream came true. And we partnered with some amazing organizations. One of them is national. Their name is Up Together. And they specifically have been doing this for 20 years, implementing guaranteed income and distributing guaranteed income to people. And so they actually approached us. And we were so excited that another local partner, Rise Together Innovation Institute, decided to join us as well. And their goal is to eliminate poverty in Franklin County. So it's perfect. And the over 100 pilots in the United States with research and, almost all of them show that direct cash is beneficial. And then direct cash helps people get out of poverty and it helps people survive and all these things. So we knew that we didn't need another pilot for Motherful, but that we just wanted to start the program. So with these partners, we were able to start our first Ohio Mothers Trust cohort in December. And we call it direct cash assistance. We don't call it and guaranteed income. We don't call it universal basic income because it's not universal. It's just a guaranteed income that you get every month. So 32 single moms in our collective are receiving $500 a month for 12 months. And we've had some amazing feedback from the moms. One of the moms I just spoke to said it's the only thing she can count on every month. That's going to, for sure, she knows that's the income she's going to get. And it's keeping her afloat and helping her to move forward. So with our partners, we also did a lot of press in December when we launched, and so we did get some national press and some mostly local press. But with that, we actually ended up getting 400 to 500 new moms on our waiting list. So, with that, we are looking to expand our capacity so that would be almost double our membership right now. And so it's an interesting year that we are in right now because we were promised federal appropriations through our local senator, Senator Sherrod Brown. And we just found out last week that $500,000 that was meant to be ours is probably not coming for sure, because this administration wants to start the whole process over from scratch. So all the work that was done to earmark those federal funds for different organizations around the country is basically being tossed out. So we find ourselves in an interesting place where there's this huge need and huge awareness about Motherful now in our city and in our county. And, the federal funding not being there, which this would have been our first time with federal funding. So I like to think that rejection is protection. And maybe some of you know that as well. But I'm thinking,
Yeah.
our community is going to show up for us. And the abundant mother is going to show up for us. The gift is going to be there, that will enable us to support and help all of these moms, that are waiting to get help. But the Ohio Mothers Trust is a really exciting program that we just launched, and I wanted to share about that.
Yeah. Super baller.
And I
Also,
guess,
we also have like the local newspaper coming again tomorrow to interview Motherful about the Ohio Mothers Trust. And in this process for the trust, there's a series of surveys and storytelling from the moms that we will be collecting, and also creating funding for the next cohort as well. So that program is alive and pumping. Yeah. Um,
yeah, yes. Someone in the chat said she raised 3 children. Patricia said she raised 3 children as a single mom and now has 8 beautiful grandchildren. It was not easy, but somehow we find resources. Yes, we tap into that matriarchal power. We have to. It's a survival thing, and I think that's what poised us, like Lisa and myself, as being willing to bring this into the world, to birth this into the world together, because that's, we know it's not easy. And we found resources, we were finding resources, and we wanted to be able to share that kind of scrappiness with every single mom that we meet. And should we talk about the housing?
yeah, I was about to say, and that goes into our like a huge dream
Right.
that's coming true. Housing, single mom housing. Yes.
Yeah. So the Motherful Housing Network is, yeah, let's talk about what it might be without team. That's right. Without a team, it's not possible. No, a big team, and the team keeps growing, right, in order to accommodate certain more service. But
Yeah,
our
we're
housing,
even. Mhm. No,
our
no.
housing project, we were able to hire two housing co-directors for our housing program last year because we've been workshopping, working on this for the better part of a year and a half now. Really setting our sights and intentions on building the village. So our biggest vision is to have an eco village, and we hope to get to Nashira in Colombia sometime soon. That's one of our dreams, is to come visit Nashira. I don't know if Angela Dolmich is on today, but we're so inspired by her and other villages around the world who are, but hers specifically being matriarchal. It's amazing. So our big dream is to build an eco village here where we are, somewhere either in town or a little bit outside of town where single moms can live together, create community. We have all kinds of ideas about what that can look like with, again, worker-owned cooperatives on site, a community center with a cafeteria, farms, moms being able to have ownership and being able to build generational wealth for them and their children, and so much more, so many more beautiful ideas that we're putting together. We just did a listening session with 17 moms in January. And before that, we had done a very comprehensive survey of our moms. We had 105 responses about what they need in housing because we are in a housing crisis in our city, and the rent is um, far too high for the average family, or for most of the moms that we know. So it's very difficult. But yeah, so the housing project has multiple facets. Like, we're looking at different phases of having maybe duplexes and fourplexes where moms can live together and support each other in like a co-housing shared living potentially. We also are talking about a high rise that would be commercial on the bottom, and the various floors would be either shared living or co-housing. So we were looking to build a daycare and a food business in the apartment building, and then the eco village is our big dream. So we are currently in process of building all of the pre-development of that. So yes, it's a really huge undertaking, and we know we're gonna get there. So
Yeah. And inside of this process, other um owners of buildings are contacting us, which is great. So it's going to expand even wider. We have a house that's been chopped up into a co-housing situation with 4 bedrooms that was just approached to us to get moms moved in and see who could live there. So it's a great thing for
mhm,
housing.
mhm,
Very exciting, very exciting.
yeah. And that comes from a vision, actually, for me. That vision came from my experience when I first became a single mom. I moved out of my home with my 2 children, and I was single for the first time. This is about 2010, 2011, and I moved into a duplex, and next door was another single mom, and she kind of just showed me the ropes, and it was like a safe landing because I felt like I had a sister next door who could help me out. So I distinctly remember one night I had to take one of the kids to the ER, and she was able to keep the other kids. So as you can imagine, hauling a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old to the ER in the middle of the night is not fun by yourself. So it was really kind of said, "Why, I don't know why all single moms don't just do this, help each other out." And so that's what we're trying to really do, is build something where moms can be supported and where their reproductive labor is shared.
Mm-hmm. Do
Are
we
you
want
ready
to?
for questions, or do you want to talk to us about, you mentioned your project in Rwanda? No, was it got what country?
Rwanda, yeah,
Correct,
Rwanda.
Rwanda. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
sure. We'd love to talk to you about that. So we're
please.
another magical motherful moment. So my husband is from Rwanda, and we visited there in December. And he had told me that one of his cousin had some kind of foundation for women. But what I discovered when I got to Rwanda was that his cousin Harriet, my cousin, my sister, she named after Harriet Tubman, no less. She actually has a foundation called Acts of Hope. It's 12 years old, and it's specifically a cooperative of single mothers who support each other by doing crafts, by working together, by feeding each other in the villages. And where to be a single mom is to be absolutely cast aside by your entire family, and where domestic violence is the norm. And so I got to meet many of the moms and got to experience like their crafts and their food and their spirit, their amazing spirit. And we're working on supporting this foundation and potentially partnering with them to build a motherful in Rwanda at some point. So that's still in the kind of like incubation phase, so we can manifest it together. And if anyone's interested in supporting that project, we're really just in the phase of looking for funding to help these moms and potentially be like a distributor of their crafts in the US so that we can help them support their organization. But it was just such a blessing to meet them and dream about how bringing those moms here, bringing our moms there. So sort of a sister exchange organization. It's really, really exciting. And I just can't believe that the way that it worked out, the synchronicity of it. And the cooperative technology and the Ubuntu technology is really like an East African technology, as far as I understand from being there. The community, the sense of community, the sense of family, in what I experienced is just so amazing, and really what we're trying to create for single moms who are across all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of races, religions, places where they're coming from. That's the collective that we have, moms who don't necessarily go to church together, moms who don't necessarily their kids don't go to the same schools. It's really a cross-cultural experience of collective, which requires a lot.
Yeah, and to keep all those people together, guess what? Our app is expansive. And now we have moms moving to different places. So we have Motherful ATL, Motherful Indianapolis, just other places. So those moms can still stay connected. And then another thing which we are doing is we just got a scholarship from Ezra, which is the leading GIS mapping software. We're right now we have a basic map where we can see where everybody is, but we're making a more technical map that's going to link into our database. We'll be able to pinpoint like, oh, this mom, she has this many kids that are this age, and just knowing how to just get supplies to moms in a better flow. Um, so that's super cool things too. We're staying on it. We're staying connected.
Yeah. And we could talk forever. We could definitely open up to questions now if you want, Letitia.
Okay, I wanted to start the conversation off by asking you both a question because I think um, many of our viewers may not have seen your first salon, which I put the link in because you do a very comprehensive overview of the organization. You show your website and you talk about how you came together.
Mm.
And then you touched a little bit on the Matriarchs Council. And I know the two of you started out, but you had to go from two to many. So, can you talk about that journey? Because the mentoring, the value system that you're trying to impart at the core of your work is a little bit antithetical to the market, sort of just the general mainstream economy. So can you describe what that process is like, and how the women in your network, because you talk about the app, so when they become members, they actually have access to the app. Is that what I understand? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do, I know this sounds, it's not a cult. I know you're not a cult, but
No.
but you have to actually help them in understanding different values, or
Mhm.
reclaiming the values that they know
Mhm.
internally inside, which is what the maternal gift economy is about. These are our values. This is what it means, the nature of our humanity. Can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit about that? How, what are some of the challenges or some of the exciting things that you're doing to be able to
Yeah.
help the women bridge that gap?
Mhm. Yeah. So I think first and foremost, what is important, we have a document that's a living document called the Motherful Ways of Being. So, the Motherful Ways of Being, first leading with love, right? Leading with love. And 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 I'm not going to pull the document up, but it's really about there's enough, you know. We are good enough together, and you are enough, you matter. So all kinds of things like that that are just affirmations, really, and talking about how, like, for example, one thing that we came together with the Matriarchs Council and created sort of our agreements of how we were going to be together. And one of those things is like no gossip. We don't gossip about other people. We don't talk about other people behind their backs, like in a negative way. So for example, just kind of having things that are like, these are agreements that we have that we try to stick with. But I think mostly it's just embodying a welcoming spirit, hugging when moms come to the pantry, and if they're open to it, supporting each other, having friendship and sisterhood be kind of the norm of how we're relating to one another is a big part of it. So the ways of being that we're cultivating and that we're encouraging, that are really were put into place by conversations in the Matriarchs Council. So the collective is really about reciprocity, so we talk about reciprocity, which really we were guided by our now president, Martina, and she is from the Sioux tribe, and I believe Yankton Sioux, I believe. And sorry, Martina, if I got it wrong. I don't have my notes here, but she is shared with us what reciprocity is, and this is also, I believe, a tribe who has matriarchal ancestry as well as a foundation. So she shared with us about the reciprocity, the principles of reciprocity and of giving back. And so that's one of the core things that we talk about in the collective. Like, you may not have money to give, you may not have donations to give, you may not have time to give, you may not have labor to give, but you have a smile that you can give. There are many things that we list on the agreements form when moms come into the membership that they can share. Like, if you want, you can share a link on social media about Motherful. You can share your gifts in the app. You can give a mom encouragement. So it's really like about acknowledging that we all have gifts that we can give, and we can take what we need and give what we can, right? Yeah.
We have that in our free store posted up too. Oh, we have a free store. We swapped all that stuff, furniture, clothes. But yeah.
And is the free store housed in the same place as your food pantry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Due to space, we only put it out on Sundays. But as we grow, we want to have like a kind of like a thrift store shopping experience where we have shelving, like a store, separate store. But
Mhm.
we're working with the space we have.
Okay, great. Let me check in with Liliana. I see that there is somebody, uh, uh, Liliana, can you,
Yes, I have a question
Yeah.
I have a question from Patricia White, and she
Mhm.
asked, can you please repeat the information about Rise Up and direct cash systems?
Sure.
Thank you.
So one of our partners, their name is Rise Together Innovation Institute. They're a local, organization whose goal is to eliminate poverty in our county. And among other things, they do a lot of things. And so they partnered with us on this, as well as Up Together, which is a national organization that focuses on guaranteed income and direct cash assistance. And I think she was asking about the definition. So there are a lot of like ways that you need to, of course, word these things, because the goal is policy. The goal is to push policy, right? So that we can have a standard income for all. Like, why not? So that more of these programs can help more people. Yeah. And so, so you want to make sure that in your county or your states or wherever that you're utilizing language that people can understand and that they can relate to. And so people spend like, all this time researching what's the best way to say this thing so that other people won't be up in arms about it or so that people will get on board, right? So I was just basically speaking to the fact that we don't say it's UBI, universal basic income, because it's not universal. This is just like a direct cash assistance that's unconditional, guaranteed income. So that's the answer to that. If you want me to, expand on that, I can. But I see.
Okay. I think one of the key points that you continue to bring out, there's always an assumption that people know how to be community. They want community. And what I'm hearing you speak about specifically is that you create community engagement. Part of your requirement for the women in this network is to learn how to be community together. It is not a natural thing. Women, like you say, they come from isolated places. So they're in an individual mindset of survival. So you're shifting that somehow. And would you say it is because of all of this community engagement, opportunities for them to see that working together is better than trying to figure it out on your own? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, also a lot of our single moms might come thinking that their experience is no one else is feeling this or no one else has went through this. And but as they start to open up and engage and get deeper with our moms, you find out, oh, you went through this too. Oh, so that happens. And so you get better confidence. You feel worthy, and they start, communicating and being a part of this program.
Right. Jen.
I just wanted to mention that I think that actually this community is the basis. It is the natural way of doing things. And the separation comes from the economy that we're living in, patriarchal capitalism that actually separates us and puts us in competition and stuff. So you're really getting back to the gift economy, to the original way we make community, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's also a process. Like there have been a lot, and it's slow. Like I think that the moms who have been with us for a long time, and they can probably attest to this, that at first they probably didn't feel comfortable or probably felt like, oh, I don't know who I can trust, because I think especially women, we don't innately trust each other in this culture. There's a lot of mistrust and distrust that's kind of sown by patriarchal ways. And so when we kind of had the vision and we're starting out, we're like, how come they're not doing this? Why aren't they doing this? Like, we really want them to do this, but realized that this was going to be a process of unlearning for all of us. Right. And we're still in that. We're still in that process of unlearning. So as we start to work towards more distribution of the responsibility and the power that we are building, inside of the collective, and really start to branch out into more and more cooperative ways of doing the organizing too. That's we kind of wanted all these things to happen at once, but we're realizing that it's taking time. It's taking time for moms to learn, to trust, to to let go, to support each other, to see that it works, you know? And like with all visionary things, you know, it's sort of like a slow burn, a slow build to that thing that you're trying to get to. And Lisa and I, we are not, we have had to learn to be patient. And meanwhile, we're just creating all of these things, you know, that are needed, or allowing these programs to kind of pop up as the needs arise, you know. So someone is asking in the chat, how does it relate to Haida's work? And I'd love to speak to that a little bit because I read Haida's book, Societies of Peace, I believe, probably right around the time that we were founding Motherful. And I think in my blood, it's matriarchy has always made sense to me. I can remember saying I was a feminist when I was like 12 years old, you know, and this would have been in the 80s. And I, you know, did a paper on Zora Neale Hurston. I was devouring Black feminist theories when I was in high school, you know, and so I was reading Societies of Peace, and it just clicked for me, like, and we've been blessed, so blessed to meet these incredible scholars who have been, you know, who have been dreaming this work and dreaming this for 50 years. And Haida was one of them. So when Haida, we started our podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if we could get Haida Gettner Abendroth on our podcast, right? And I was just like, dream guest, because I was so impacted and you know, by her work, and so excited about it. And I was already researching her academy and thinking, when am I going to make time? I got to do this. You know, maybe I'll do it in German. Maybe I'll be able to go to Germany and study with her. And so I reached out to her via email. She wrote me back very quickly, and I couldn't believe it, of course, because this is amazing. Oh my gosh. And so then we ended up having a conversation, and she was so excited about our organization. Well, actually, the email went like this. Hi, I'm looking for other organizations that are matriarchal, because we've recognized that we are a matriarchal organization. So we're going to put it in writing and make it official. And we want to know who else is doing this. And there must be other people. And so I wrote to Haida as the expert, and she wrote me back and said, what you're doing is amazing, but I don't know anyone else doing it. so we like started our correspondence then. And that's when I asked her to be on our podcast, and she agreed to loosely advise us and be available as a mentor. And I think through her listserv, then we got connected with Jen and the Maternal Gift Economy, and all the amazing scholars that we've connected with, and we have access to now. And I kind of am, when we first started talking, I realized, like, oh, we are like we're bringing to life, like we're literally birthing the matriarchy from the ground up, you know, that maybe the modern matriarchy or something like it, in actual, with our boots on the ground, you know, in organizer, activist, mother mode. So and it makes sense for us to meet that action with the theories, and so that's kind of how it came together. So it relates to Haida's work in every single way, truly.
There is a question in the chat from Susan Petrilli, and she's asking, you know, how many mothers do you have? And you told us there were 600 plus right now and women on the waiting list. And currently you're just in the United States, specifically in your own city.
Yeah.
But she asked the question, do you have political representation? Is it important for you?
Good question. Good question. Do we have political representation, as in, are we aligned with a party?
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Political representation. I mean, we certainly have like city council members who love us, who we're connected to, who are, you know, on our side. We certainly have,
commissioners.
commissioners, Franklin County commissioners who are supporting us now, who have been supportive of our mission. And we also, did have the support of Senator Sherrod Brown, who was not reelected on the federal level. So as far as political representation in that manner, we do have, the people that we are represented by here. As far as like an alliance to a party, that's not something that we can claim as a 501c3. But we have learned a lot going to the socialism conference in Chicago every year that's put on by Haymarket Books. And so we have learned a lot from that conference, which I think is, and has informed a lot of what we're doing for sure. So
Yeah, we did a lot of repo work last year.
yeah, reproductive
with
justice.
here in our city. We have moms with boots on the ground knocking on doors.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you are an activist. Most of you've talked about, could you share a little bit about what you did in around the Palestine issue that you brought to the city council? I mean, that's highly political.
Yeah.
One of the things, I mean, you're
yeah.
activists, not just,
Yes.
Yes,
we are. Yes. So we, of course, as mothers, we, we were deeply moved and pained. We continue to be deeply moved and pained and grieving around the mothers and children of Palestine and all the Palestinians, and especially the horrible, horrible images that are coming out of Palestine of the precious children, and we just couldn't be silent in the face of that genocide, and so we decided to support the local Palestinian movement with whatever they needed as far as what they were asking for organizers to do. And so we were lend our voices to and our performance art to city council, where we went and we brought imagery and we sang songs, and that was a part of a multi-month drive by many, many organizations to, have a ceasefire resolution in our city, and which we did accomplish. And we did accomplish that. And we also were, we had also went through lots of drama around, we were supposed to be given like some kind of recognition, and then it was taken away from us because of our speaking out against the genocide, and so we had to go speak out about that. And then we kind of we worked on some fundraising. We did some fundraising and helped to build some tents through just connecting with people directly that we're supporting financially in Gaza, and we continue to do what we can. And we continue to fortify our moms with that. And we've done some performance art around grieving the mothers, and grieving with the mothers of Palestine. So,
yeah, we also built a school, the tents, tent school. The tents were for a school. That's awesome.
Sorry, Jen, do you have a question, or do you want to speak? You're leaning in, so whenever you lean in, I wonder
No,
you're just very interested.
Yeah, I just want to hear better. Approve.
Okay, great. Let me check in with Judith and see if Judith has a question for you all.
You just answered the question I was going to ask about Heidi Gutner-Abendroth, so I'll ask a different one. Ursula asks about a Kurdish women's group in northern Syria called something like Yinwar, and whether that's a group or an organization that you've had any dealings with.
Not yet.
No.
But we love to hear of spots like that. So definitely going to be taking note and checking them out.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask another question then. Um, how do your kids feel? Is it like, oh, mom, not again? Or is it like, you go, girl?
Uh, you want to sit? You want to start, Lisa?
Um, my kids are, I have 3 girls. My oldest is 31. So, she volunteers and she's really supportive, um, and she actually is at the pantry right now, helping to stock the shelves. So they're like, go. And then my middle daughter, she's in college and she is an activist herself. Um, and so she's like, go, go. But the 13-year-old, she's a she gets it. She really can't understand why it's mother for all the time, but she's down with it. Like everyone knows her. She's been around since the beginning, me tugging her along. She's grown up in this day to day. And uh I'm happy to share it with all 3 girls because it's really powerful and supportive to them,
Mhm.
to their confidence and growth.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so our kids were, my older children, they're 21 and 18, and they were helping us set up our first community dinner and meeting other kids with single moms. And like,
Yeah.
I remember in the first year, those dinners that we were having, like, they found community too with other kids who also were experiencing the same things they were, like the lack of support, the lack of resources. And so they also had a kinship with those children, which was really wonderful. And come to find out, I tell this story a lot, but when my son was about 14, so right around the time that we were starting Motherful, he sent me a text that said, Mom, can you get me a book? And I was like, okay, what book? And he said, Our Prison's Obsolete by Angela Davis. So I was like, I think this organizing stuff is kind of rubbing off on him. And then sure enough, he's a student at Ohio State University, and he's in his 3rd year, I believe, at Ohio State University, and he was heavily involved in the encampment activities at OSU, and he started his own organization with friends, co-founded an organization at the school. It's called Scream at OSU, and it's actually an abolitionist and land back organization. So very, very, very proud and also surprised that he was watching. He was watching everything, and he was picking it up, and is actually very, very, he started organizing for the 2020 campaign, I believe, like with a national group called Done Waiting, which was like young organizers doing political campaign stuff. And he was like running the spreadsheets and calling people. And this was when he was in high school. So I think that, the idea that a mom like living her purpose is going to impact the kids. I think in some ways my older kids would probably say they didn't really like sharing me so much, but they also really, really get it, and they really love it. And they've and I think it's informed their way of being in the world in a lot of ways. So I think that's why we
Yeah.
say that, like, mothering is an act of revolutionary love.
hmm hmm Yeah, my daughter was going to University of Chicago during the encampment, and she was out there every day and
Mhm,
communicating with me.
mhm,
So we definitely grew closer during that time.
mhm. Yeah.
Wonderful. Let me check in with Liliana and see if there's a question she has for us.
Yeah, I do. From Ingrid Arenvo, you have 600 plus members and many moms are on the waiting list. When may they enter like members? What is the reason that they cannot just enter, and how long must they wait?
Good questions.
Yes. So every week we send emails to a good portion of the moms, maybe 50 moms on the list. so they can come in. We have the waiting list. A lot of moms were interested in the Ohio Mothers Trust. That's how we created this list from interest from that. But we have been in communication with them, and all moms that are on the waiting list can come on Sundays. It's an open house, so they have been engaging the ones that want to show up. And a lot of moms sign up and they're not ready to do the steps yet. We require you to come in person to solidify your membership. So that's a little staggered, but the ones that come on Sundays.
Yeah, we're really working hard to kind of bring together more resources so that we can accommodate more moms as well, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And we're
we
just
weren't
trying.
ready.
Yeah, we weren't ready for that huge of an interest.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do in the meantime while moms are waiting is we're sending them resources via email.
Yeah.
Like the savings match program, they can sign up for that and hopefully receive that, finish
Yeah.
the course. And it's about a 2-hour course that they take on financial wellness. And then they get to save $500. And after they show this screenshot, the community organization that is funding this, they will send a $500 match. So a lot of moms are choosing to do that, like while they're waiting to get into the collective. Yeah.
I just wanted to comment that I think that Motherful is unique in the way that you are in an urban situation and you're supporting women who are also in an urban situation. You're not creating a village, like you're not creating a Nashira, one of our other partners, one of our other networks. So these are women who already are in an infrastructure. It seems to me that you and Lisa, Heidi and Lisa, you have managed to crack the code of working with bureaucracy.
Mm.
And you have the keys to that, which is what is unique, why many mother organizations are not able to actually access as quickly as you have in 5 years to be able to actually get in and partner, I mean, literally partner with the city where you have I don't think you've talked about your garden and your food forest. That's one of the things, right? And you
Yeah.
worked with Trader Joe's. So there is a way that you've found to actually create relationships with ongoing structures where people understand what the needs are and see what they're doing as a gift, and then you get to receive the gift. I mean, that is a gift itself. And going back to what Susan Petrilli was asking, about the world, I know that you're really busy on the ground doing all the things that you're doing. But might there be in the future a way that you could have like I don't know what you call it. You'd call it like how they have a hackathon? You'd have like a motherful hackathon of how to hack into the bureaucracy of your city, teaching them how to actually work with city council, how to work with Trader Joe's in their area.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's just really like hustle. It's really just hustle. It's just like go and ask people.
Yeah.
That's we just hit the pavement every single day and have done for 6 years, and I think a lot of it too is that Lisa, has supported multiple businesses as a personal assistant, as an executive assistant for decades, right? And she knows how she's a logistical queen, right? And so, I like to talk. So we just go.
We're a good combo.
We're good combo.
And we both had our own businesses.
Yes.
And we both and that having that behind your belt is very important. Just being resourceful.
And an entrepreneurial mindset, really, and maniac on a mission. I think we just, especially, I think 2018 is when we founded, and we went through 2018, 2019 with just sort of like, yeah, this is cool. Let's do some community dinners. And when the world shut down and the uprising started, we were like, we need this food pantry now. We need this community garden now. We need a place for moms now. Like, do you mean they're going to be sick? Like, we've got to jump into action. So that's when we realized, even if we didn't have the building or we didn't have the eco village that we want, right, where we want, it'd be so much easier if we were in one spot. Like, all of this would be so much, I mean, there'd be other complications, right? But we'd be so much easier if we were actually like not 30 minutes away from each other, right? But we were in this one little village. So I think this way that we have to like work towards that, and we have to build community regardless, outside of place, you know. I think it makes it so that when we get there, I think it's going to be pretty dynamic, you know.
Yeah. And we never change who we are, you know, in all of this. We keep our same values, and that people respect us for that, you know, and we'll keep coming back because we know, like, this is what we're standing for. This is the quality that we're giving out, and we're not changing for anyone. If you don't want to give us that money, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll find it.
We'll find it somewhere else. And that attitude, you know, gets us in the door. You get to be hungry.
And we're not willing to compromise our values when it comes to, you know, reproductive justice, for example, or when it comes to you know, liberation for and you know, anti-colonization and genocide. Like, we're not willing to say, you know, to be quiet. We may need to be underground a little bit with it, you know, but we're not willing to compromise those values, those loving values. I also just realized what the question around the matriarchal societies. I realized that we do have a PowerPoint slide that talks about. I think y'all are going to have to help me out, because I know in Haida's essay about matriarchy, matriarchal societies, she outlines, I think it's 4 or 5 pillars of what kind of determines it. And someone had asked about decision making, and you know, that matriarchal societies utilize consensus, which is actually something that we do as well. We are consensus based in our decision making. And another thing is that I know socioeconomically, it's a gift economy, right? And then as far as what is it? So I don't know if maybe Letitia, do you have them memorized? The different.
No,
I have it
I
in
don't have them.
somewhere.
I was looking because I just had it with me.
Right. I mean, I know that, like, you know,
Manifesto.
earth-based spirituality, and so we're secular. You know, obviously we're a secular organization, so we don't you know, we don't have like spiritual things that we're sharing per se, but we know that women and mothers with wombs like are connected to the earth, you know, and connected to intuition. And you know, we've definitely done things like, you know, full moon circles and invite people, but it's not something that moms, you know, have to do or whatever. But that's certainly for myself, like, is a foundation for me, you know, earth-based spirituality and goddess spirituality, which is something that kind of led me to you all as well. And I think Lisa would probably say some of that as well. We definitely work with Mother Earth and her seasons and her wisdom and her magic, you know.
Magic.
And you know, so those pillars, we realized, I was like, I think it's when I read that essay that I realized, like, that's what we're building, you know, that's what we are. And it all kind of just came together.
Jen, are you really raising your hand now?
Yes. Right. Well, I think it's very wonderful that it is a gift perspective that uses the exchange economy to create gifting. And that is, you know, a real accomplishment, because usually doing exchange economy, you get sucked into it. But you have kept that perspective from the outside to turn it to a gift purpose. What more could you want? I mean, it's really great.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
transitional, and we need these
It's
transitions.
transitional, yes. And I think it's also, yeah, it's like a building the plane while you fly, right? That's what it feels like a lot of times. And we just continue to stay like, everything is free inside of what we're doing, and we focus on just redistribution, really of just like gathering and redistributing, gathering and redistributing, and to the best of our ability, and so we talk now about like what are the dreams that are coming now, like the dream for an international mothers fund, that we dream about having a bank, another transitional thing. We dream, we have this microfinance, like microloan, and ultimately we want to just we want to be able to give whatever moms need. We want to be able to give it to them.
Mhm. Well, you
You-
just have to be really firm in your purpose, and you are. So there you go.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. Let me check in with Liliana. Do you have a question for us, Liliana?
Yes. Lucille Eckridge asks, to what extent and in what ways, if any, do you think your work is changing either intentionally or by effect the extractive economy on which we are all a part?
Ooh. So I feel like what comes to me first about that is that for single moms who feel just extracted from on every cell of their bodies, right? Um, I like where is this energy going to come from to like meet my children with love this morning? Where that kind of the extraction that you feel as a single mother is so visceral, like, and where is my replenishment going to come from? And so I feel like just looking at that first, like the extraction of the mother, because everything, the mother is the creatrix, right? Who births like the new worker, right? The new generation of workers in the capitalist system. So I think, and she's not compensated at all whatsoever in any way. I mean, we know that mothering is its own compensation. However, in capitalism, it's really closer to slavery, you know? And it's something that I think the extraction, I feel like one thing that we could be doing is just reaffirming the value and worth of each mother and supporting her to come out of a place of complete and total exhaustion and collapse because of the constant extraction. And, we're pouring into her love, we're pouring into her resource, we're pouring into her ideas, inspiration, we're pouring into her hope, right? We're pouring into her potential. That's our goal, at least. We're pouring into her with sisterhood, we're pouring into her where no one else is. So I think mothers being the absolute most valuable resource that we have as humanity, right? With our earth, one of the most valuable resources that we have, we're pouring into her, we're acknowledging her supreme worth and value, and so that she can know it, so that she can feel it, so that she can breathe, so that she can have some joy, so that she can experience a little bit of ease, um, and ultimately the goal would be that she would be in her total bliss. And so I think that has got to be a ripple effect on some level. Um, and it's where we're starting. I don't know if Lisa wants to add to that, but I feel like we're pouring into the mother, and through that, awakening her to her own beauty and her own power.
So Jen.
Yeah, it's a different model. And I think that is, we have the capitalist, exploitative, extractive model always in front of us. And this is an alternative model that's really the true model that we have to shift towards for everybody. So showing that in public is just so important. And that it's the key. It's the key to the way to go, to change what this disaster that we're living in now.
Yeah, and I think also the other thing I wanted to add too is just asking people to give. You know, like continually asking people, give to mothers, call your mother, give to moms, you know, support moms. And I feel like that also is impacting, you know, because why is giving a radical thing? But apparently it is, you know, and it's something that mothers just do. It's something that Mother Earth just does. She gives, right? Like, and it's the gift of a mother.
Yeah. And if she didn't, we wouldn't be surviving.
No.
That's right. Let me check in with Judith and see if Judith has a question for us.
You mentioned your ways of being, and they sounded really interesting. And I wonder if that's something which is written and which could be shared, or what is the status of that?
Yes. One second. Let me see if we can find it. I'm not sure where it is right now, but
You're talking about new models. That's
Mhm.
your ways of
Yeah.
being sound somewhat
Yeah.
different from the Ten Commandments and the other
Yes.
lists of rules that we.
Yes. Yeah, ways of being. So primarily what this document started as kind of like a guideline for how we show up in motherful circles, right? Or at the pantry. So we workshopped this with our matriarchs council, and it's a work in progress right now. We're actually going to be completing it this year with our matriarchs council, like really kind of making it something that we can share more comprehensively. And we also wanted to be sure to pass it through our lovely grandmother scholars that we are connected to, like Jen. So some of the things we talk about, Motherful is a matriarchal organization. So this is at the top. It's a kind of a code of conduct or a code of, that's we're still formulating. It's a living document at the moment. All mothers must agree to uphold our values. It's important that you uphold our core values, and not having gossip is one that we mentioned. Treating each other with respect. It's a sisterhood. Treating our spaces with respect and the earth with respect. So that's kind of just a little sample of it. But it's kind of one of those core documents and policies that we're working at putting into place through a consensus process. So it's still in the works, but I will share it with our group and see what their thoughts are. So we can get those notes.
Wonderful. And we can put it up with with the recording of this video so that it can be downloaded by the people who have joined us and who will be watching the video when you're ready and available.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So you want to say a little bit more about maybe you did talk about your big visions. Can you say a little more about your food forest? I think people would like to hear about that. How is that garden? Is that the one that has 15 beds in it?
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we look to expand our garden once we get land. But currently and create a dense food forest in that space. But we haven't started that where we're currently at. We were able to acquire the apothecary, and we're just going to focus on those two programs, connected and growing herbs. We grew a lot of herbs last year, but we're gonna double the herbs. It's probably gonna be mostly herbs and berries in our garden. And each one of our garden beds are named after a different goddess, and we have art in each bed, so it's really nice.
wonderful? Let me check with Liliana. Is there a question, Liliana, that you have for our friends?
Yes. The question is the current political policies affecting motherhood, and how are you dealing with that?
So yes, absolutely. We're being affected by them, in the sense that, we're losing a significant chunk of funding that we were anticipating. And so, that's definitely impacting us. And the threat of the bills that are wanting to take away 501c3 status for people who are deemed, terrorist organizations. That's certainly something that, is looming, in the sense that we did speak out for a ceasefire agreement, or a ceasefire resolution at our city council. And we're kind of targeted in certain ways. However, we we definitely are just doubling down on, supporting single moms, on shoring up our organization with support. And we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop doing what we're doing, and we're going to keep going and just pivot as we have to.
I think your self-described word, scrappy, is definitely a description of what may be needed at this time right now, while everyone's trying to figure it out, because there's quite a bit of chaos. But it seems
Yeah.
like you've got some really good traction going.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
really looking forward to seeing where things are taking you. So your projection for when the apothecary is towards the end of this year, that you're going to kind of open that up, you hope?
Oh, before that,
Yeah.
we had our first workshop. We are working on like creating some rules as far as usage of the apothecary. We're gonna start. We have a core group that are really interested, that maybe support with creating inventory for the pantry. And then as we have the apothecary, the herbalist, her name's Holly, is on call and available for us to ask questions, and she's going to do a monthly class. So it's going to be a minute. It's going to happen soon, way before the end of the year, with moms being able to utilize it.
Oh, that's good. I said end of the year because I wasn't sure when. I was like, that's a Lisa answer. She knows what the rollout looks like.
No, that's great. But again, I want to just point out, it's your partnerships, the
Mhm.
relationships that you've created with people who are specialists,
Mhm.
who are willing to give their gifts to
Yes.
mothers.
Yes.
And I think that there's a mindset, again, going back to the patriarchal and the market mindset, that you have to act a certain way to get the things that you need, because
Mhm.
what you want is money. But you're showing that it isn't necessarily money that you need. What you need is alternative medical support for your mothers, so that they can, and their children. And this way is, it just so happened that these things come together. And
Mhm.
it is a mindset, wouldn't you say? It's a very
Yeah.
different mindset
Mhm.
than trying to approach, I'm a not-for-profit organization, so in order for me to be a not-for-profit, I have to do X, X, and X, and then I have to approach X and X and X, like X, X, and X. And then you get stuck in what
Yeah.
the heck is the X thing,
Yeah.
instead of what is my need? You get carried away, way far away from your need.
So true. Yes, thank you for
Yeah.
pointing that out, Letitia, because from the very beginning, we started to see how we were being like, the nonprofit thing was being kind of hoisted upon us, like they call it the nonprofit industrial complex.
Yeah.
So we've continued to like take what we can from that, from
Mhm.
support that's available for nonprofits. We love that. And to also say, you know what, like, having an elite board is not a value that we have, right? Like for example, one thing is that, yes, we want board members who are powerful, and we're going to have powerful board members, but they have an experience of single motherhood as a lived experience, or they've been raised by a single mother, or they they are a single mother. So that was important to us, that we had solidarity on all fronts, right? And some funders aren't going to fund us because we don't have board members from corporations that they know, potentially.
Yeah.
But that's why we also built the Matriarchs Council, so that we could have leadership. I mean, we are essentially a community development corporation, I think they call it, which is just like community led, right? And so we just are so rooted in the value of single mothers and what they bring to the table for us. And like, nobody else knows what single moms need more than single moms, and that's the problem with charity. We've always said solidarity, not charity. That's always been in our value system. And I think the 501c is wonderful. C3 is a wonderful thing. We're grateful for it. It enables us to actually bring about this gift economy that we're working on birthing, and so many of the structures and the hierarchical structure and the corporate structure do not work for us, and so we've just continued to say, that's not really us. And how about, like, what else can we do? And finding things like there's the new economy, what is it? Solidarity economy, and then the New Economy Coalition, I think it's called, that we are a member of. I believe they're out of Chicago. It's called the New Economy Coalition. Like Code Pink is in there, and some other amazing organizations across the country. But they have like a solidarity funding library. They do all kinds of education on cooperatives. And we are working towards becoming a worker self-directed nonprofit. And just continuing to build more of a cooperative model into what we're doing, so that we can continue to be who we are, and also, live, we're following the rules, we're checking the boxes, so, but we got to be us, unapologetic.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, is there anything you'd like to say in closing? We have about 13 minutes left, and I have some things to share with everyone about what's upcoming. Heidi or Lisa, do you have any questions or other comments that you'd like to make?
I would like to say, of course, I got something to say. I would like to say that if there are folks listening, one of the things that we do is we just invite people to partner with us, invite people to become investors, invite people to help us bring this to life. That's our approach to fundraising, is really like, can we go out here and find these people that are really excited about birthing a matriarchal world, a motherful world, as we call it, and, supporting mothers and investing in mothers, investing in children, investing in new, different ways of being, in innovative ways of being that we haven't seen necessarily. So that's kind of our approach. If you're interested in, partnering with us in any way, shape, or form, you can become a monthly donor and you're automatically in our village, or you can, email us directly if you're interested in, making a larger contribution. And for any of the programs that we've discussed today, and we also have so many things that we're looking to do. Obviously, the housing project is a huge lift. And it's going to require multi-million-dollar investments. And so we're just saying that to everywhere we go. Like, do you want to build this world too? Come help us do it. We've been in it for 6 years. We've been building the foundation. We're looking to lateralize. So if there are mothers listening to this, or community organizers listening to this, who are like, I want to build a motherful in my city, we are ready to start having those conversations for the next couple of years, also around the world. If you heard me talking about Acts of Hope in Rwanda that supports the single mother cooperatives happening there, please message me at heidi@motherful.org. We're looking for investors for that project in Rwanda. This is the time when we need people with resources to start distributing them, and as a white woman, that's one of my main things that I am always talking about, that so many white folks, especially in our country, have their wealth is built, their privilege, they're benefiting from the systems, and when we recognize and acknowledge, like, we are benefiting as people with this skin in this racialized, capitalist, patriarchal, realm, we benefit from what our ancestors had, right? Who stole, essentially, and the labor that they stole and the life force that they stole, and that those inheritances. And Jen, I know I'm preaching to the choir because you've spent your whole life, giving. But just being willing to ask people to give and say it's okay to give. You've been hoarding, actually. All that wealth that you have, you'll never use. Like, you're actually hoarding it. It could save someone's life today. And so that's what I see as my responsibility in a lot of ways, is like continuing to encourage and educate and let people know that, like, yes, you can give, and please do give to Motherful. So we
Give more.
give more. Yeah.
Lisa,
Lisa, last words?
I was just uplifting our crowdfunding campaign that we do every year around Mother's Day. It's going to start on April 1st until June 30th. And this year it's called Give More. And we're seeking to raise $500,000 for 2025. So if you can follow us on Instagram, and our website is motherful.org. Also sign up for our newsletter. We do a weekly newsletter that we send out with all of our updates.
wonderful. Jen, did you want to have any closing words?
Oh, not really. I think I just admire what you're doing. I want to say it's so important. It's a kind of a pill to give everybody to create a better future, to heal from what we're in now. And thank you.
I wanted to just thank Heidi and Lisa. It's truly an inspiration. I've been involved in the women's community for almost 30 years, and I really have not met a group that actually is doing what you're doing for single mothers. There have been a lot of mothers organizations that are specific towards a specific need for a mother, but not actually creating a community for single mothers to be able to feel supported and for their children to have community. So it's just beautiful, beautiful work. So I just want to thank you. And also that you have, I don't know if you're aware that your organization is sort of the 21st century version of consciousness raising for single mothers. That you actually are bringing them into a place of what I would consider radical feminism, where you put mothers and children at the center of everything that is being done, because the children are the future. And if we don't have healthy mothers, we won't have healthy children. So it's just very exciting to be able to see this. And my hope and wish is that you will have some kind of motherful hackathon where you call in women from all across the country to come and do a weekend of, let us just tell you how we crack the code to our city so that you can get in the doors. Let us help you teach you how to be scrappy so that you can get in the doors, but not so scrappy that you actually are repelling people. There's a really good balance in how you are with the strength of who you are. So it's just quite admirable. I also want to thank Diane and Liliana for always being there with us and for us as we do these salons, for organizing the questions and having the patience to be able to wait to the very end to be able to bring those important pearls forward. On behalf of the International Feminists for the Gift Economy Network, we just want to thank you for all the work you're doing.
And Judith.
If you want to be notified of our upcoming salons and events, please do sign up at our website, the maternalgifteconomymovement.org, where also this the recording of this salon will be up. We hope that we'll see some of you in Tucson next week. Several of us are going to Tucson, Arizona to present on panels and individually at the Association of the Study of Women in Mythology Conference that starts on March 27th through the 29th. Sacred Stories of the Sentient Earth, Scholarship for Collaboration, Intervention, and Reciprocity. So I'm going to name drop right now because there's a whole slew of people who are going to be there. So I'm just going to start with Genevieve Vaughn, Louisa Tiche, Lillian, Leilani Breeley, Judy Gran, Vicki Noble, Miriam Dexter Robbins, Joan Marler, Maria Suarez Toro, Lauren Rains with her wonderful goddess mask, Constance Tippett of the Goddess Timeline, who's going to be talking about the Serpent Mound and the lunar aspects of the Serpent Mound. Well, there'll be people zooming in from the Philippines, Grace Nono, and from Australia, Glennis Livingston. And then on Sunday, we're hoping that you're going to stay and spend a day with those of us from the International Feminists for the Gift Economy, a day of gifterhood. And Genevieve, Vicki Noble, Joan Marler, Maria Suarez, Aria Marie from the Sekhmet Temple, Nene Jordan, Constance Tippett, Annie Finch, and others will be there. We'll have a day of talking about the maternal gift economy, yak, yak, yak in the morning. In the after, we'll have lunch. And then in the afternoon, we end with a wonderful ritual about the gift and coming together. In 2 weeks, on Saturday, April 5th, Salon 78, we're really excited because we have Starhawk and Phyllis Karat. For those of you who are not in the know, these are two wonderful, powerful, dynamic witches in the world. But they're going to be talking about what to do, the gifts that we have to bring to this time in this very critical time, the magic that needs to be here in order for us to actually step into this more sustainable, motherful, maternal, and maternal gift economy future. Then 2 weeks, April 19th, we have the Peace Economy with Jody Evans and Marie Goodwin from Code Pink. April 26th, we have a special book presentation with Angela Dolmich. You will know her mostly from Nashira, the founder of a women's matriarchal eco-village in Colombia. Her new book came out last year called Ethics of Care and Materialism in Colombian Politics. So we have a wonderful slate for the month of April, and we invite you to come and join us. And thank you so much for your attention and for being with us. In these really, really difficult times, as we're shifting from into the light again, let's just bring in that light of love and peace and spread it around, and may peace prevail and protect all the mothers and children who are in need right now. Blessings to you all, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for coming. Take good care, everyone. Bye for now.